Hello, everybody, and welcome. We are doing another After Hours episode here at Aquatic Aesthetics with Rob. We've got a great show lined up for you tonight. I think you're going to enjoy it. Before we jump into that, real quick, I want to say thank you to a couple of people. I did a talk with Ed earlier at the local fish club, the Chattanooga Area Aquatic Society, right?
That is correct.
And there were some super chats from the people that were there, and I didn't see them then. So a huge thank you to Michelle Kinsey. I know she did a $5 super chat. Fantastic Freaks also did a $5 super chat. A huge thank you, Fantastic. And then we had a new member, and let me pull this up so I don't mess up the name. I apologize, I couldn't acknowledge you all earlier on that stream. And newest member, Degenerate Fish Keeper. Thank you so much. Welcome to the Fish Room Fever family. I hope you enjoyed the behind-the-scenes members content. With that being said, let's jump into it. We're live this time. Those of you that were here for the last time we did the show from here had a little slip up and didn't click the go live button. So we talked for about 30 minutes. Really good conversation. You all didn't get to see, but we're good to go this time. We do also have kind of a special treat. We've got a young gentleman here, Andrew.
Yes. Andrew, why don't you walk behind the screen there? Walk behind the tank. Let them see you, because this is my number one man here. I can't do anything without him, much less my wife. I do need to point that out. She is critical to this, but this young man, just wow. What he has absorbed for me, knowledge-wise, I can walk away out that door right there and leave him the keys with total confidence that my customers are taken care of. And if you know anything about me, I'm a control freak, and I want to make sure my customers have the knowledge they need. So, Andrew, thank you. He's going to be walking around with the camera for us, show us some details, and be able to pop it up, different fish tanks, such like that. So if you see him walking around, that's what's going on.
All right.
Now, Andrew has a YouTube channel too, doesn't he?
He hasn't gone full force with it yet. He took a little bit of a break, and he's trying to get the reef tank resituated and wanting to go full force with it when he gets that done.
That's awesome. Well, he has at least one video on there that I watched, and it's in a beautiful reef tank.
What's the channel name, Andrew?
It's Aquatic Concepts.
There you go.
Just in case you couldn't hear, that's Aquatic Concepts. I didn't know if the mic would pick him up.
Gotcha. I wasn't thinking about that.
But yeah, so you've got another special treat for us. You've got a new product in that I'm excited to talk about.
Yes. I am carrying, well, my hand was forced. API and all the rest of the major medication manufacturers are having major issues getting medications. Just like, COVID, it's affecting everything. But I found a supplier. I got all of them. Neomycin sulfate, kanamycin sulfate, oxytetracycline, hydrochloride, nitrofurazone, erythromycin, praziquantel, metronidazole, and I love this stuff. You get twice the volume of medication than you buy in the API boxes. They are not dosed out like API. I will say that, but they're $2 more, and I can't pass that up. A 2,000. I don't have the erythromycin here, but it's a 1,000 gallon bottle like this of erythromycin, which, guys, honestly, is only that deep in the bottle.
In this bottle?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
But where it says treats 1,000 gallons, that is what it's measured to. Some do a little more, some a little less, so they use the same size bottles. But erythromycin right now, the 1,000 gallon bottle is $46. If you got a fish room,
Absolutely, and the fact that you have it at all is the other thing, because that, like you said, the supply and demand has been so one-sided.
Yes.
I mean, there have been times, we go to a lot of fish stores all over the state and other states as well. And when you're going through 3 states hitting fish stores and you're not finding meds anywhere, that tells you something's
Andrew?
going on.
I'll go ahead and show you this. So this is the erythromycin as an example. Yeah. Okay. So it's made by Aquatic Life. They don't make it. They actually just repackage it. But it is packaged on demand. So if I place my order, and you can see right there, expiration date is April 2023. This was just packed up for us last week. When we place the order, they bottle it for us. And I love this. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you, Andrew.
I like how it says the different.
Right here, these two. I believe it's, I'd have to check the box up there, but I believe it's 25 milligrams praziquantel and 75 milligrams of metronidazole. And that right there is what General Cure is. Now, it depends on what you're treating. You don't maybe necessarily need General Cure. If you know the parasite you're going after,
Yeah, that's all.
then why go with the general? Go with the specific, because this will do one or this will do something entirely different.
Yeah, I wish I would have my glasses so I could see the things that the individuals do.
Let's see, metronidazole, effective for hexamedia or hole in head, body slime, and ick. Not that it's the best at ick, but it is a little effective. Praziquantel, external parasites, so that's going to include ick, but again, not the best at it. Flukes, flatworms, tubularia, and tapeworms.
The one I want to feed my fish or cure my fish for internal parasites.
Right there. Now, on the instructions, it tells you how to mix it. It tells you in a larger scale, so you're going to have to break it down, because I think it tells you the 2 pounds of food. Like 2 teaspoons, it's going to differ from the different medication.
And I don't know if we said, he actually knows what, we've already talked about this, but I want to be able to dose medicated food. So he's explaining how to make my medicated food.
Yep. Good way. For instance, you have this flake food that you're getting ready to re-dry back out. So what you want to do, you're going to dry it like you're talking about. And guys, he's got some flake food that's got a little moisture in it. He wants to cook the moisture out. So you need to weigh it and just do the math and figure out how much you got to add to how much food there is. Mix it all up. You can do it that way. My favorite way to do it is mix it with Repashy. Repashy is such a great food when it comes to mixing meds.
And you know that it's getting in their system, in their
Yes.
gut. It's not just the food isn't going in there and it's just floating away.
Yeah. Metronidazole, guys, this is a medication you would take if you had a parasitic issue or something. It's called Flagyl, Flgyl is the name brand on it. But a good example of that, you're not going to make a bath of it and soak yourself in it to try and cure yourself. You're going to take a pill. We've gotten in the habit of just forcing medications through the skin of fish. And these guys, they actually go into the instructions on how to get it to the fish internally.
I like that so much better.
Yes, and if you can do that, you use a lot less medication, you put a lot less in the water, you don't need carbon, you don't have to pull medication back out, water change. It's in the food. They eat it. The body uses it. It's gone.
That's awesome. That's super. Well, what other types do you have here? And I can't read any of them without my glasses.
They commented you didn't have your glasses. How's your bandana staying on? I wasn't gonna say anything.
That
I
is
can't see anything.
neomycin sulfate. That is a new one on me. I have not done much with that medication.
It's good for open sores.
Yes,
I got a
it
boo-boo.
is an antibiotic, being that it's a sulfate. So generally your sulfurs are going to be a antibiotic.
I'll let you see it.
Let's see.
I can only read the top line.
Open sores, internal swelling, loss of color, body distortion, body and fin rot, bacterial infections, gum diseases. Sorry about that. Guppy diseases.
Oh,
There you go. And I can't pronounce that, but it's Furna locus or something like that. Yeah, I don't know what that one is. Never heard of it. At least that disease.
We got medication, so maybe
Furnuculus.
your fish don't even know how to catch that disease
Yeah,
yet.
furnuculus. What is that? Someone tell us what that is.
we need Dan's fish in here to tell us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here, I'll spell it for you. FURUNCULOSIS.
I was gonna Google it, but I'm not gonna touch anything because it's working fine. So we'll leave that to the mods. By the way, you're all doing a wonderful job. Thank you. I see you all competing to get the links out for aquatic aesthetics things and all that. So thank you all so very much for that.
And Rob has a great YouTube channel too. So if anybody hasn't subbed to him, man, I really like how he does his box openings. He doesn't do he started off doing the traditional open the box and look at the plastic and you can't see nothing.
Yeah.
I really like how you're using the specimen containers.
Yeah, I use the specimen cups. I line them up there on the tanks and get them in the light. The fish, they've been in there probably 10 minutes before and they're already in the tank water that they're going to. I've already changed out that water, so when I'm done recording, I can just take that cup, dump them right in the tank. But a couple times I've dumped them in the wrong tank because I hung them on the wrong tank just because it was convenient for the shot. But they need to go into the tank on the top. Oh, that becomes a nightmare. You're having to catch 25 fish out of there that you didn't want in there, and they're all nanos that big.
Oh, no.
No, but it's little things like that. But yeah, I do get them into the cups and get them into that clean water compared to what they were traveling in. And they color right up in just a matter of a few minutes in most cases.
Now, do you acclimate? Do you take the water from the bags with your tanks, or do you just plop and drop?
I do a combination of, I do a plop and drop. They temperature acclimate first. The bags float in the tanks for probably about 20 minutes. Because when our fish come in, they come in probably about 8:30 in the morning. Tammy's down here. She's doing paperwork. As soon as they get here, she calls me. I go get breakfast, and she's going around putting them in the tanks for me. And come back in, take care of breakfast, and then I start moving fish out. And I start getting them out of the water they're in and literally plop and drop straight into the specimen container.
And it's probably great that you put them in the specimen container so you can look at them better.
Yes.
Like, have you ever found anything with velvet or fin rot or?
And not velvet. I have seen fin rot come through lately. About a month ago, we really started seeing some fin rot come in. It was, and more than just fin rot, I mean just fungus in general. Multiple different types. And I don't know if it was supplier. I seriously doubt so. It was a supplier issue. It was probably just that time of year.
Now, I've seen Rob put like stickers that say "not for sale," but do you quarantine anywhere else? Like, what if you've got let's say you're getting neon tetras. I don't know if you have it, but Once you get, like, you have a bunch of good neon tetras, and then you get a bunch of skanky, sick ones, are you going to put them all in that tank, or do you try to find a different place?
If they're looking like that, they go home.
Oh, okay.
We'll take them home, and I've got tanks there that I can try and nurture them, make sure they're healthy, but I won't put them back in a general community if they look like that. There are times it has happened where I've missed them, and you pay for it.
Yeah.
And you got a lot of work ahead of you because you may have to restart a tank. We just had that case. We had Velvet hit one tank. Never saw it come in. But by the time I saw it, the tank was pretty much, it was a wipe. The fish is still there, but 2 days later, I mean, no matter how hard I tried to treat, Velvet's just one of those, there's no fighting it. Your best bet is cure whatever fish you can. If they survive it, then eventually pull them out 90 days later after been no sign of it, and pull them out and scrub that tank, bleach it.
Oh, wow.
That particularly the saltwater Velvet. Velvet is a curse. Velvet's worse than blackbeard algae when it comes to saltwater tank.
It used to be
It
something
has
we fought a lot in the
run
70s.
many people out of the hobby.
Yes, it has, and you can't get rid of it when it gets in the tank. So your corals, they're not harmed by it, but it's all around them. It's all with them. Any fish goes in stands the risk of getting it, but it all depends on the health of the fish. There'd be some that just they'll never even see it.
Now, there's some fish, though, that I think you just quarantine right away, like puffers.
Yes, puffers. What we were doing originally was deworming them, but in this case, these came in. I didn't have the opportunity to deworm them yet because this swap today. I wanted to get them straight down there, and they were looking good. Still looking real
They
good.
look nice and chubby.
Oh yeah. I'm not too concerned about them, but I'm still going to deworm them just in case.
That's awesome. Is there any other fish that you find are big carriers of disease?
Well, I do know this. If you have a long skirt tetra, it's got egg, give it up. With those fins, there's no curing that.
Right. No, you might have to start selling fish online by the end of this. He's doing a wonderful job selling these tanks out for you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they're seeing the puffers, I think.
Yeah, all
So,
sorts of stuff.
yeah, that's them.
We did have some trouble come in. I saw that Fish Mania Chattanooga guy in the stream in here.
Ah, good. That's Ethan. We like Ethan.
Absolutely awesome guy. Another awesome story with us.
Yes.
So appreciate you being here. Everybody else as well. But
I love the fact that my customers, his customers, either way, no matter who they talk to, they're getting the right answers.
exactly. Absolutely.
That's what I like.
Yeah.
I still have to fight Petco and PetSmart,
Right.
but I don't have to fight Fish Mania. They're not causing problems. They're helping,
Well,
and I love it.
you and I talked about this, and I actually talked about it with one of his employees over there. It really comes down to having business owners that are also hobbyists.
Yes.
They have the passion for the hobby. They're not just there to run a retail store.
Yeah, I've said it many times, too involved in the business and forget to be a hobbyist.
Yeah, and that's what I love. You, Ethan, my local guy Kenny at Aquatic Marine, you're all hobbyists. You're not just there in a business, and it shows. And I love it because East Tennessee, I feel like, has a very special local fish
Yes,
store
we
setting
do.
because of that. So I appreciate that as a customer so much.
I mean, look at Chattanooga. We have 3 major LFSs here.
Yeah.
Huntsville, I think, has 0. Well, there may be one. I think we've discussed this before, but Nashville, Aquatic Critter, and a couple salt stores, and maybe one more. But There's just, and that's Nashville.
Yeah.
Well, and another thing is you all's club, and we've talked about this before, and we talked about it earlier at the club swap. You don't see a whole lot of clubs that bring both sides together in terms of the salt and the freshwater side. It's unfortunately in the hobby, it's always been a very divided thing. Maybe more from one side than the other, but it's always been a
We
very
won't point any fingers.
we won't
salt
point any
guys.
fingers at those coral keepers. But no, it's wonderful to show up, not just to a club, but to a swap and have the salt and the fresh options there, and be able to not just go, okay, I'm just going to see guppies today, or I'm just going to see coral today. And it's really refreshing, and I'm hoping that spreads more throughout the hobby, and that's part of why I started the saltwater
I think you
myself.
will see that more. We got in the past there was kind of a club mentality of the salt guys, and
We hate them.
and
I haven't been paying attention to what you guys are saying.
and they kind of shun people and like, oh no, it's hard. You don't want to do that. It's not that hard, guys. It's a lot of work up front. I will point that out right now. You're going to have some stuff you're going to be dealing with, a crisis here, a crash there. But once you get that tank stable, that's when the fun begins, and when those corals just start to pop, and that's when it becomes so easy.
Absolutely. Having the patience of Chattanooga Ed goes a long way when it comes to saltwater. I'll say that.
We'll see.
I want to say thank you to a couple people. I know we had some super chats early in this stream, and I've not acknowledged you all. Let me find the right tab here. Sean Chadwick with the $3 thumbs up fist bump there. Thank you, Sean. Very much appreciated. Our buddy Mike Fish Tank Barn, who we're going to see in less than a week. $5
Next week?
super chat. Yep.
What are we doing next Saturday?
Aquashella.
With?
Everybody.
Yeah,
Fish
and
Tank
Mike.
Barn. Yeah, Fish Tank Barn. All the people. But he sent us $5. Said Aquashella Gas Fund. Thank you, Mike. Looking forward to hanging out with you again. Been too long, buddy.
You have to give me the money then.
No, I'm not giving it. No.
I'm the driver.
I'll give you whatever YouTube gives me.
Hey,
Okay?
Wait, it's the wrong type of gas. It's by the
beans.
yeah.
And just use the money, buy beans. That's the gas
So there you
one.
go.
That's what I'll be blessed with.
And then Carrie Habercourt, thank you for the $1 super sticker with a big brown pile of fertilizer. Very much appreciated as well. Thank you all. Let me get my chat back up here.
I disappointed one lady today that I didn't bring guppies.
Oh,
She was really hoping I was going to be bringing my guppies.
oh yeah, because you've been showing off these beautiful tubs you got.
Yeah, but I got to let them grow.
I'm loving the fish shot, all the tags that he's getting. He's doing a wonderful job in there.
Yeah, he's got the dojos right now with the little Corys in there.
If you all have any questions, feel free to throw those up in the chat. I do have that pulled up. But definitely, if you would put the @ symbol in front of Fish Room Fever so it highlights for me, especially with the monitor back there, that bright orange will help me to acknowledge those things.
And if you guys have any store questions, like if you've been on the fence on a product or something, we can bounce that off Rob.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff he purposely doesn't sell because he doesn't think it's worth it. And maybe you're on the fence thinking, is it worth it or not? We got the guy right here because he knows what's actually, like he's firsthand selling it and knowing because he gets to see it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there have been a few things that I brought into the store that you guys have never seen. Bring in one. I see it on the list. Like, well, let's bring it in. Let's try it out. And I get it, and it's cheap, flimsy plastic, straight in the trash. I don't try and sell it. If I think it's junk, that's where it goes. Right to the junk folder. But if it's something that I think we can sell, and if it's something I would use at home, when I get it and I look at it and I say, I want that, I'm selling it in my store.
I'm seeing some type of flower thing in front of me.
Yeah,
Can I
if you
grab
wanna-
that?
Yeah,
Now,
absolutely.
is that for CO2 or something?
No,
What
that
is
is a combination. Grab the open one there. Yeah.
Oh, it's suction cups.
Oh, I love those. I've got a couple of those at the
Yeah.
house.
Yeah, so
Oh, is
Yep.
that for growing plants? This
Yep.
direction. Can you people see what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Yep, they sure can. It suction cups to the glass. Very strong suction cups, high quality.
You guys may have heard it. Oh,
Now, the one thing I will point out on the bottom, you'll notice there's a hole through there.
is that so the water can get out if you overfill it?
No, it's also meant as a feeder.
Oh, neat.
So-
you put bloodworms in there?
Yeah,
or
you can put
blackworms?
bloodworms, and with your water level right there, to where the fish can't go in and get the bloodworms. Bloodworms come out that little hole, 1, 2, 3 at a time, and they pick at them and eat slower.
That's awesome.
I've actually used one of those. I had a 3.5-foot piece of driftwood in one of my tanks, and while it was still not wanting to sink, I splintered upside down. I used it on the one end that I was having a lot of floating issues out of to hold it in place, and the suction cup definitely did a wonderful job.
Well, the way I found out about the hole, I had an Anubias, and I wanted to plant it at the house. This was a Anubias Nano Petite White, a beautiful white Anubias. So I get a little quarter of a flourish tab. I drop it at the bottom. I throw some sand in there, and I put I get it all mounted in there. I set it in the water, and all of a sudden, what do they call them? The little sand timers.
Yeah.
It's sand's just
like
flowing.
an hourglass.
And I'm like, yeah, hourglass, that's the word. Sand flowing through the bottom like an hourglass. So I had to redo it and put a little flat piece of rock down there. But works great for plants. I've even seen a Betta sleep in one.
I believe it. We've got a couple questions. Lefty's drooling over your tetras. He said, "How much for all your tetras?"
Oh, I was about to say we're going to see Lefty.
Yeah.
But it's going to be really hard to keep tetras in a bag alive from Wednesday to
Especially that many.
Tuesday.
So Select Pet says, "Here's a question for Rob. You and Ed can chime in too. If you had an empty 125 to do whatever, what would you put in it?"
Oh, I think I've answered this once before, and I still got to stick with that answer. Nano fish, multiple schools, multiple varieties, 2,000 to 3,000 of each. I mean, like chili raspberries. I'm talking little guys.
You don't see that, and it's beautiful on the rare occasion that you see anything even close to that. I think that would be amazing.
Yeah, when you get fish on the scale of a giant school, the behavior is like what you see in the ocean.
That's what I was going to say. Picture it when you're watching
Yeah.
Shark Week and you see all the schools of fish just swarming. Yeah, so it's that.
Yeah, you
that would
think
be
you
nice.
see a school of fish in your aquarium. That's not.
Yeah, no.
That is not what a real school is. Yeah, proper school 7. No, I'm talking 50 plus, and behavior totally changes.
Absolutely. We've got let's see. Drinkwater says, "What's a substitute for gassing your tank for plants?"
As in CO2 gassing, I guess.
That's what I'm assuming. That's
James and I kind of talked about this yesterday on the show. And a lot of the plants that we think that guys like you sell are probably more geared easier that you don't have to CO2. Is that true?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, there's only one plant I've ever sold here that I would consider high tech, where I would say, yes, you need to run CO2, and that's Scarlet Temple. I brought it in once, and you guys may see the CO2 sitting here that actually, if I could pull it up, goes nowhere. It's not hooked up, hadn't been hooked up in over a year, but it was hooked up solely because of Scarlet Temple. And at the same time, the 3 gold nugget Plecos in there, I found out via them that Plecos need highly oxygenated water, and never ran CO2 in the plant system again. So if you want to run CO2, be careful, study it, learn it, understand how it works, because you got to cut that CO2 on an hour 45 minutes before your lights cut on. Same thing, you got to cut it off an hour or 45 minutes before your lights cut off. The reason that is CO2 continues, or excuse me, the plants no longer absorbs the CO2. They now at night start absorbing oxygen and start sourcing CO2. So now you are sourcing it, the plants are sourcing it, they're not pulling it in. You have put so much carbon dioxide in your water that it is now off-gassing and creating carbonic acid, and your pH is now 4.0.
Yeah.
And there's your fish gone.
Yeah.
Now, what about fertilizers?
Fertilizers, absolutely.
Root tabs.
Root tabs, they're over there.
I'm a big fan of the root tabs. I'm also a fan, and I saw somebody mention it in here, the dirty tanks with the sand cap.
Yes, that's a new one for me. I haven't done it myself, but I know the hazards.
Yeah, there definitely are. We talked a little bit about it in our talk earlier. It's not for everybody, and it's not for every fish. If you're a person that moves plants around a lot, you probably don't want to do a dirty tank because you're going to be most likely pulling that dirt up through your sand cap. You know, big cichlids, things that are, going to be moving a lot of substrate. You don't want to put a dirtless sand cap in that. But I do enjoy it, and I find that it works really well for rooted plant growth. And even things like your nubias, when you can get them and start letting those roots start dangling down in and stretch out, that it does wonderful. But root tabs is one of those things. It's easy no matter whether you've got the generic pea gravel from the hardware store or the nicer aquarium gravel. You can get those root tabs in there, and I've found they do a wonderful job.
Now, if you're doing pea gravel, be careful.
Okay.
A lot of your, I don't know this for sure on the flourish tabs. I haven't really looked into how they're made. I'm looking at some of the other fertilizers that I've done some reading on, but they are all ammonia based.
Mm-hmm.
Well, those fertilizers are made to bind kind of to soils and dirts and such like that. So if you've got a pea gravel base with nothing in there, no detritus or anything, then you're putting pure ammonia in the water column.
Yeah.
So do be careful with that if you're doing just pea gravel. Now, if you've had that tank for 3 years, and if you moved a handful of it and a big cloud's going to go up, you're safe.
And see, I'm not, that's actually another way that I fertilize my plants is by not really gravel backing much.
Oh,
yeah.
Never.
So,
gravel back where the plants aren't
Yeah.
or where the roots aren't.
yeah. And that's why a lot of times when I have pulled plants, you get that massive root base down there where it's just been able to thrive and spread out. Sometimes the root base is bigger than the plant because you've just got nutrients everywhere. It's a wonderful thing.
I've pulled up an Anubias that, as it started coming up, and I was always under the school of thought that no, an Anubias it doesn't need sand, doesn't need substrate.
Yeah, don't let it touch.
So I had one on a piece of wood, not too different than this, that was actually mounted about 4 inches above the substrate. Well, those roots went down. That Anubias grew that long, one straight stalk, and this was about and probably about 1 year's growth, which is phenomenal for an Anubias. And it's just a basic Atari Nano. And it did that. But we had to break down that tank. And when I pulled it out, the roots, they stretched a good 3 foot. And you know when your Anubias roots are happy when you pull them up and those roots are white. When you see those green roots, those are the water column roots, and it's thrown this green over to protect it from the water. But when it goes down in that sand, it's on, man. It soaks up so much from there.
Absolutely. Now, I'm at a loss for words. It's been a long day. Not to tell you to bury your Anubias in the soil. That's not what we're telling you to do. I didn't want anybody to misinterpret that. So I just wanted to
let it make up its own mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, let its roots go there. But but keep that rhizome, that horizontal stem that cannot be buried.
What about ferts like Flourish? And things?
The Flourish and the Activate, both of them very good. Envy, which I don't know if I have over there right now. I think I'm maybe sold out of it. That's the one I recommend to most of my customers. It's an Aqua Vitro brand, and it just does wonders on the plants.
I grabbed that thing. I don't know.
Yeah, the NPK. If you're a gardener at home, you know NPK. You know all about that. And your 10-10-10 or your 10-2-20, whichever balance you're going for. And this allows you to set that balance yourself. You have 3 different bottles: your N, your P, and your K. Your nitrogen, your phosphate, and potassium, I believe. I believe those are what they are. Like you said, it's been a long day.
Good.
Yeah. There's Andy Rigid here saying, Fisher Fever, big thanks to you and Ed for joining us today at the swap meet. Thank you for inviting us and having us and allowing us to do the talk. Very much appreciate that. That was fun to do our first club speaking event.
Yeah.
And congratulations on winning that raffle, Andy.
Yep. And Andy, thanks for drawing Ed today. And thanks for getting out there and doing what you did.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Andy was great. And I apologize. I couldn't think of his name. I wanted to introduce him, and I said, "Oh, he has an announcement," and I apologize for that. But I had so many things going through my mind, and I think I forgot 90% of it.
You normally do.
Yeah.
Normally it's going all over the place, and it comes back 5 minutes later.
Yeah. Anyway.
Now, Andy's laughing real hard with what I just said. I guarantee you. Because he did make the comment. He said, every time I watch, no, Ed, it's Chattanooga Area Aquatic Society.
Yep, that's true too.
Because it's always, what is the name of it? What is the name of it?
Well, it took me about a year to get your name, Aquatic Aesthetics.
Oh.
And then Rob was like another year. No, Rob was easy. Everybody should just have an easy name. 3 or 2 letters is my motto. Nothing, right, Jim?
Yeah, absolutely. So Didi's Fish saying, can you show the box in front of Ed again and explain? You're talking about the NPK?
Here, I'll bring it up closer, and you can explain it a little more if you want.
Yeah, I have not personally used it.
That's good.
But
I'm go closer.
Yeah, a little closer. There you go. Looks like you got it there.
Yeah, you just shove it right up on there. There we go. Beautiful.
Let's see. Well, he's got it up there.
It's like, if you're growing tomatoes and the bottoms are rotting out, you have to add calcium.
Yeah.
So it's kind of what you're doing is you're balancing what you need in your tank, right? Like what type of?
Yes.
It's like going in advance. Where Flourish and Tabs are going to try to hit everything, that's going to hit.
Yeah, this is kind of going on a kind of a high-tech level of plant keeping. When you're going and actually doing the NPK individually. Because like you said, these, I don't think they give a rating on these. Yeah, I'd have to go through this and do some math to get the rating. But a lot of them will have that 10-2-10, and you'll see that on fertilizers all the time. That's your nitrogen, your phosphorus, and your potassium. Your N, your P, your K. And in combination, playing around with those, you can do some pretty interesting things.
Absolutely. Got a good question here from Lefty3213. Says, what's the most exotic/expensive fish you've been asked to bring in for a customer?
There's actually 2 on that one. The most expensive individual fish was a gold puffer. I would say.
Is that a saltwater fish?
Yes. Yeah, he was a large gold puffer. He was this big when we got him in. And that was a special order. And I think the price was $400 on that one.
Oh, that doesn't seem too bad.
No. I should have been a lot higher. But, I mean, I'll be straight honest. My cost was $300.
Okay.
But it's like, why do I need to make a multiple of this? Profit's a profit. So I decided on that. If I can make him a deal that he won't pass up, he'll buy it.
And then you made a good customer.
Yes.
And that's something important, guys, is your fish store has to mark up the fish because that's their primary way to pay the bills.
Yep.
You know, I mean, it's good that you buy this bottle, but they might make him buy 50 bottles. So he's got to sell 50 of these before he makes a profit. You know, I don't know.
I'm not. When I order for my dry goods from my distributor, I have a minimum I have to reach. So depending on the fish store and where you're located, that's going to be anywhere $500 to $1,000, sometimes more. And so you got to have that first to order. So if you guys need a special order from your fish store and they're stalling, that may be why. Especially this time of year, it may be that they don't have enough to put on that order to get that minimum. And don't be afraid to ask them that. They may tell you straight up, well, yeah, that's the case. I can't hit my minimum right now. And you may be able to add some more to it. And you'd be shocked.
Find some friends and bring them in.
But ordering one hang on the back filter could do to your fish store owner when he looks at it and says, well, that'll make up a little bit of the difference. And yeah, I'll go ahead and add this and we'll get it in this week.
That's kind of what I was trying to say. But I'm still saying buy this stuff. You know, support your local fish store.
Yeah.
If we didn't have our local fish stores, this hobby would suck. So.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, a couple bucks on Amazon. Here's the thing. You save a couple bucks on Amazon. Absolutely. You're not getting any of the help you need. Yeah, maybe you don't need help, but without these stores, you wouldn't have gotten the help you did to get where you got, most likely. And Amazon, I'm afraid, is going to really hurt the mom and pops and the LFSs. And
I'm
in
sure
turn
has.
is going to hurt this hobby. I mean, I understand Amazon. I get it. I don't shop with them, but I understand it. I mean, here I am. I buy the cheapest dry goods, or not the cheapest. I go for the cheapest price I can find when I buy my dry goods between multiple vendors, just so I can give you guys the best deal. And Tammy, she'll spend 5 hours on an order, just comparing different vendors. Who's got the lower price this week? And it makes a difference.
Absolutely. And that's one thing that I've noticed, and I was telling somebody else that was here earlier looking around is, you know, you pass that on to the customer. You've always got great prices on your fish and things because, as you mentioned, you don't mark it up because you can, you know.
And that's why you rarely see a sale here.
Yeah.
Because there's not much room for a sale.
Right. And I feel like that is a good business model. And I know there are a lot of people doing that. It's, well, instead of offering sales and discounts every 3 months or every whatever, we're just going to give you the best price that we can possibly give you day to day.
Yep.
And sometimes the price goes up, and that's because it has to.
Oh yeah, right now, and we're seeing it. Every order, I'm moving prices up on different items because it costs me more. A good example, I got to order a couple buckets of instant ocean reef crystals, and I know the price has already gone up, but I haven't changed the price of that bucket.
Right.
Because I paid less for it.
Yeah, and I found that in my fish store as well, where our price had gone up, and there was the previous bottle, it was cheaper, and then the new bottle where the price had gone up for him Was marked
Now,
up because
I won't do that. If I have others on the shelf, then they all go to that price. But until I order and until I actually pay that price, I paid the lower price, and that's the way I do it.
absolutely. So Select Pet says, "What's the worst disappointment or embarrassment Rob has had in the store? Like I spilled a whole box of feeder goldfish in front of a store full of customers once."
Probably my worst disappointment was a little lesson we had on a special order. And this wasn't a fish. This was a tank. You guys may remember that tank. It was just left just recently.
Okay.
That Red Sea, 90-gallon Red Sea sat right up by the wall.
I was afraid you were going to talk about the fluval.
No. Oh, no, not yours. No, this was a special order customer had put in, and we didn't make them pay in advance. I rarely do, honestly. And we hadn't been open a month, and that was an expensive purchase. And it comes in, and he looks at it. He said, "I thought you said 90 gallons. I said, "It is. It's a 90-gallon system. But it's a 73-gallon tank with an 18-gallon sump." And he backed out on the purchase. That hurt.
Oh, I'm sure.
But took a little recovery, and we got over it. Finally decided one day, well, we're just going to set it up as a display tank, and sold it 2 weeks ago. But yeah, it took 2 years to sell it.
Yeah. Anytime you put Red Sea on something, the price goes. It's like Kessel. If that name is on there, you're paying money for it. It definitely. I know that's got to hurt.
But I knew how the guy felt, so I was not upset with him. And so if you guys are hearing that, don't hear it wrong, because I looked at it and I said, yeah, that's deceptive.
Yeah.
To call it a 90-gallon system.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, is the grossest thing that's ever happened here what's out in the parking lot right now?
Oh, yeah. So I see a plastic bag in the parking lot as I was pulling in the other morning. Didn't pay much attention. Just pull in, tire ran over it, and I hear a pop. It wasn't a plastic bag. It was a wrapped up dirty diaper.
Now, let's just say there was not $1 in there. There was no super.
No, yeah. But if you guys remember being kids and sticking ketchup packets under tires and seeing that long spray, yeah. So yeah, there you go, Sean. That's the probably grossest as of late.
If people are going to reproduce, they need to throw away their diapers in a proper facility.
Yes, please.
Proper thing.
Yeah, a parking lot is not. Don't make someone else pick up that.
That's not.
Come on, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's been really hot here.
Oh yeah.
Luckily, it hailed.
Lefty32138 says favorite type/style of Betta.
By all means, favorite across the board, copper alien.
Ooh.
My new kind of a new one rising up right now. Any of the placats, I love them. And like the interesting story for you guys on the pronunciation of Betta or Betta. So which is it?
Technically, it's neither.
Right.
Yeah.
Depending on the country you're in, it's probably placat.
Oh.
Yeah.
Or Betta.
Yeah.
But it's very interesting. Placat. Huh? You mean, hey, we sell those.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like those guys. The Hellboys.
Those are
They
nice.
are beautiful. They get that star tail. Beautiful colors on them.
I like those samurais that you used to get those blue samurais that were.
Yeah, black samurais.
Oh, black.
Yep. The black samurai. Interesting story on that. What that is. Your dragon scale is a Betta that is totally covered in the white all the way around. Well, when they didn't get the white all the way around, it was a coal Betta. And it's like, well, someone came up with the idea of, let's call those samurai Bettas. And as soon as I gave them a name,
Everybody
they started
wanted
selling
one.
like that. It's like
Yes.
coral.
Well, samurais
I
are
mean,
really cool.
you name a coral, gorilla nipples, and it's gonna sell. And yeah, there is one that name. You can kind of search it up. There's some worse ones than that, guys. But
Yeah, we'll leave those off.
yeah,
of the
I'm not
script.
saying those.
It's been a long day, but not that long. Well, it has been almost an hour. Time has just flown by. If you've got any last minute questions you want to get in there, feel free to type those in the chat.
I've got one more.
Yeah, go right ahead. I just
Okay.
wanted to give everybody a warning.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Okay, have you and I'm sure it's happened. You've got your tanks everywhere here, and you're putting a new species into the tank. What is the worst thing you ever did was like drop a fish and another fish eat it, or you drop a fish and it eats other fish? Have you ever had anything just go boop?
No, not here. I have at home. I tried out, brought in what kind of catfish was it? I can't think off the top of my head.
The marble Dakara cat.
Yeah, marble Dakara cat.
Andrew for the win.
Yes, he is. That's why I love that young man. So, I mean, this guy's that big. And I figured, okay, my Oscars are that big at this point in time, and I'm wanting to incorporate him in with the Oscars. And about 3 seconds, gone, and just like, oh my God, this was a beautiful fish, and they thought so too.
Well, I've had two types of puffers, and my first puffer I ever had were pea puffers, and I dropped them in my angel tank because I didn't have a tank for them, and they were just devoured instantly. It was like plop, plop, gone. So, yeah, but at least they were only $2 at Walmart.
Yeah.
And I was like walking, I try not to look at the Walmart fish because they make me sad back when they had fish, but there were two puffers. I went, what? And I was like, okay, I got to buy the puffers. I have no place to put puffers.
Well, Walmart gave me the best grand opening present they ever could have given me. We opened July 19th, July 1st. They stopped selling fish.
That's
You
awesome.
gotta love that.
And not that I saw them as competition, but that was one less problem to deal with, is Walmart fish. I didn't have to deal with them at all. I still have to deal with the Petco and the PetSmart fish, which, guys, by the way, are the exact same fish you see on this camera he's walking around with. They all come from the same people. They all go through the same process before they hit the stores. The difference is how they're cared for. They're fed, and there's people that act here and at other LFSs that actually know what to look for. And when they see it, immediate alarm, medicate, or treat other ways, depending on what it is.
Absolutely. So we did get a couple more questions here. Lefty said this was the last one from him. Says the favorite species of tetra.
I can't. Well, I guess I could have them, but I don't know anybody that would have one of these in their tank. My favorite one to tell people about is the vampire tetra, and to show them pictures of. And when they realize that that's a tetra,
Was that the guy with
and
the giant
and
teeth?
yeah, with on the bottom, and that looks like it's poking right through his upper mouth his upper jaw as he bites down. Those. Let's see. Actual favorite tetra. That's gonna be hard. Tetras are my wife's fish. I've always kind of been a South American cichlid guy, but as far as the ones I keep in the store, the Pristilla maxillaris. I love those guys. X-rays is another name for them, I think. X-ray tetras, and I think there's one other name. They're also very similar to candy cane tetra.
Those are beautiful too.
I like Congos, black tetras. Black tetras are easy and they are tough. They're the toughest tetra, I think.
And emperors.
Yeah.
Those to me are probably the prettiest tetra. And I know there's others with other color, but I just love that look to them.
Definitely.
One of these days, I'm going to have a special order with you because I'm going to order the cave tetras or the blind tetras.
Okay.
That'll be awesome.
And I'll bring you like 2 years later.
Yeah, I can get
Fun
those
spot.
without the dye and everything.
Nice.
Supreme Aquaria, Wally, it's good to see you. Says, question, unless you covered it already, top 3 or 4 fish for the small-time breeder to breed for selling to a fish store. So I feel like I need to preface that with it probably going to be locationally based. If you're in a town that's hardcore African cichlids, you're
Yes.
not going to get the same results as we would do breeding guppies around here.
There's a couple different answers. Convict cichlid. I'm kidding, folks. I know y'all.
What? I almost threw up.
Convict cichlids with duckweed.
Yes, absolutely. You got to have that.
That can be grown in the toilet bowl, actually, and they'll both cry.
My suggestion is talk to your local fish store. Ask them what their best seller is. I can tell you right now, here, my best seller, I don't know anyone that breeds them, but are Hebrocious Cories. I love these guys. They're little Cories. They get that big max. They're this big when you buy them in the store. And they just do wonderfully. Another good one, Neocaridina shrimp. It's not a fish, but they're very easy to breed, and you should be getting $1.50 for each one. If you're not, go talk to another store.
Wow.
Because that's what they're paying their distributor. If not a little more, depending on where they're buying them, but that's the cheapest they're going to pay.
That's really
So,
weird.
yeah, sorry, LFS owners, I'm giving away a little secret here. But I do things differently here. Our local breeders, I pay them the same rate I pay my distributor, with kind of an agreement that they can't tell nobody,
Right.
because that's a wholesale price, and I don't want all that just spread out in the open.
Sure.
But you walk into a fish store, if it says $10 on the price tag, kind of a simple rule, divide it by 3.
Yep, that's
And that's generally what your fish store owner pays for.
because usually the way that I've always understood is when you're looking at a price for a fish, you're taking a third for the cost that you paid for it, a third to cover caring for
Loss
it,
and
maintaining it, and all that stuff, and then a third to get some profit out of it to be able to purchase it.
Yeah, generally 3x markup on livestock, 2x markup on dry goods.
Yeah.
That's pretty much across the board in any business, and in order to make it. So if I'm selling this for 18, I probably paid somewhere around 9, maybe a little less. And it's just
That's
how you
how
do it.
business works. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, you're paying for electricity. You're paying for rent.
Exactly.
You're paying for Andrew to walk around with the
Yep.
You're
camera.
paying them extra to walk around with the camera today.
My mortgage and
Yeah,
there's
you.
yeah,
I mean, you. What about the oldest fish in the store? Because you want fish that move. You don't want fish that just hang around forever.
I'm going to add one more thing to that
Oh,
last
sure,
one,
sure.
if I may. I feel like it's also kind of important, if you can, to get a feel for what kind of supply and demand that local fish store wants. Because it's one thing to go in and say, what fish do you want? And the fish store says, I want black angel fish. Well, if they're only going to want a dozen, or a very small amount, and then you turn around and you start breeding them by the hundreds, you need to anticipate kind of what you're going to be breeding versus what they
Yes.
actually want.
yeah. Betta's a real good example. A fish store is going to buy maybe a half dozen from you.
Yeah.
And you got 50 of them now. You got 50 bowls spread all around your bedroom, your closet, everywhere. And you don't know what to do with these things. So you got 3 local fish stores. Well, there's 18 of them gone.
Yeah.
You still got 32 more. Where are you going to take these things?
Well, and then I feel
And
Does it also affect you? Do you want the same the same breeder if they're supplying, let's say, Ethan
that's
with
Yep,
red?
and that's
red-
another point.
What's it? Hellboys. Let's say this guy has 100 Hellboys. He takes 10 to you.
So those
and 10
I'm
to
taking
Ethan.
2.
Okay, 2
Yeah,
to you
I
and 2
mean,
to Ethan.
because I sell a lot more than just Hellboys. I got the the Veil Tails, the Half Moons, the Placats. I got all these different ones that I got to carry, and I've only got 30 spots. So, speaking of which, I have 2 Bettas in the store right now.
Whoa!
So, if you're a Betta fan and you want to see an unboxing, wait till next week.
Oh, nice.
Oh, Lefty.
I got
Yeah, he was already saying earlier, Lefty's like, get the bet off the camera. You're going to get me in trouble.
And there's only 2.
Yeah, there's
Normally
only 2.
he has so many pretty Bettas.
I got 28 spots, and as you can see right there, we don't put them in bowls. They are in what was originally a saltwater system that we converted over, that I thought was just a death trap for saltwater fish because they were a little too small, and a little too small for freshwater fish too. But for Bettas, perfect.
Really big. Actually.
And a final follow-up on that, not just with going to multiple local fish stores, but also a lot of people, you've still got 80 Bettas left after that in that scenario. Then they want to go on Craigslist and start listing them. So then you go back to the local fish store, and the local fish was like, I couldn't sell these things because coming to find out, you started selling them on Craigslist for half of what
cheaper.
Yeah.
You sold them to me.
Yeah. So why am I going to buy fish from you when you're just going to sell them?
Yeah, I do kind of have a rule. I do not do business with people that want the cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
If you want to sell to me, it's one thing to compete against me at the price I sell it at. It's another thing to undercut me. At that point, business is off.
Absolutely.
But Ed, you started to ask a question about oldest fish in the store. They're not up there right now, but back here in this 55, you can see them pop up every now and then.
The Corys?
The gold bars.
Oh, they are pretty. Yep.
Those were part of our very first shipment. Those are a mated pair that after about a year, we hadn't sold all the ones we brought in on that initial shipment, and there were 2 left in the tank, and they're just sitting there shimmering right next to each other. And so in they went to the plant tank, and I said, okay, I'm keeping these guys because these are original stock.
That's awesome.
And I think they're the only ones I've got.
Does anybody ever try to buy them?
Oh yeah,
They're
all
beautiful.
the time. Well,
That's
they're my showroom model.
Well, a lot of your fish are juveniles.
Yes.
Right? So they haven't brightened up. We were talking to a guy today at Fish Mania, and he was wondering if there were 2 different types of Bosemani. And I was like, no, that's just they look like when they're young. They turn red and blue once they get old. And it's just so much difference in fish.
Yeah. Saltwater particularly.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah. Type in Orbic, Orbic, Orbic batfish. You're going to see one of the most beautiful juvenile fish. Then type adult next to it. You're going to see the ugliest fish you've ever seen. But that juvenile batfish, you guys, I'm sure you've all seen them. They're solid black with a neon orange outline all the way around their body. And they're very tall and very short. They're very tall in height and very short tail to fin.
They look like stealth bombers sideways.
Yeah, they kind of do.
So we did.
Well, Emperor Angels are one of those. And then they have 3 stages of life. And all 3 are beautiful, but they're all different.
Yep.
I wish I could just keep one as a baby, though. I really like them little and pretty.
We did have a non-fish related question earlier.
Oh.
People want to know, what do you call soft drinks? How do you reference them? You go get a soda, you go get a pop, you go get you grab a Coke.
It's the South. What do you think? It's Coke.
Yeah.
I mean, it says it right there.
Right. I get in
somewhere.
I get in trouble because Mrs. is a
maybe
pop person. But I've always said, coming from the retail side, I've always seen things labeled as soft drink on all the spreadsheets and all the inventory. So
Just the cover.
when I see pop show up on a retail listing, then I'll start calling it pop.
But truth be known, I actually do call it just Dr. Pepper because you guys see me enough. This is all I drink. There is one other thing.
It's the only thing in an aluminum.
Michelob Amber Pop.
Right.
This is the only.
Water, that stuff's toxic.
That's for the fish.
Yeah, keep that away from me.
I've been trying all day to give him a water.
The people that know me are laughing right now real hard because they know, oh, he ain't taking the water. But it has happened.
I will segue back to the selling the local fish store things because I see some good comments about it in the chat. If you've got a good working relationship, like one person saying, like taking $1 versus $1.50 on the cherry shrimps, and getting cut an actual check and that type of. If you've got a good working situation, I feel like it's one of those things that I would take on a case by case basis.
Yes, absolutely.
And also,
if they're, go ahead.
I was just saying, one person mentioned not meeting the demand that the store needed in terms of supply, in terms of quantity. So not expecting the same price, because if I come to you and say, well, I want what you're paying them, you go, okay, well, I need 1,000 of them, and I go, I can give you 200. That's not,
Yeah. And one thing I will warn you against: if you call your fish store owner and you ask if they'll take such and such type of fish and how many you got, don't come in a week and a half later with those fish and expect them to take them. Even if they did say yes a week and a half earlier, a lot has happened in that store in that amount of time. Shipments come in and tanks may have filled up. A fish store owner is going to tell you what room he's got in those tanks at that time.
Yes.
And if you set that up, you need to follow through. Don't wait a week. And I had it happen, lost a customer over it. He was upset because I couldn't take the fish that he spent an hour catching. And I mean, there's nothing I could do. He called on a Tuesday. A week and a half later, and I'm like, no, I just brought in one of the biggest fish orders I've brought in months. I just don't have room.
Yeah. And it may also, going back to the budget thing, they may have, they're at a point where they're not purchasing anything right now because they tied it up in a dry goods order, So it's one of those things. If you're going to do it, do it. But really, that's a topic that we could spend a whole hour on by itself.
Yeah,
easily, and people have. Ash Lightcloud, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Says, what is that little bump near the tail of a Betta? Mine has one, and it is not overfed. Saw one in the display earlier with a small bump like mine.
I'm not real sure. When Andrew gets over there next to that Betta again, we'll figure that one out.
Ask what color it was, because that helps.
It's the red one, I'm pretty sure.
All right.
Let's blow this up. This is going to be huge.
Absolutely.
This is going to be internet sensation.
So layout.
I know it's. Oh, look, it's flurry.
I think that's just the hump of the spine, really.
Where the tail meets the body.
I can't tell if you're talking on the side, because he mentioned not being overfed, so I don't know if he's referencing the.
Okay, yeah,
side.
I think I see what he's pointing to. Now, one thing I do need to point out is that guy is huge. He's probably sitting like this, where the other Betta that's in there, the white or the yellow dragon cat, is half his size.
Is that what he's looking at now?
No, he was looking at a young mustard gas there.
Is the young mustard gas not for sale?
Not yet.
Okay.
He will be. Well, he came in real tiny, not colored up, so we just went ahead and threw him in there and let him become the Betta he wants to be.
I don't like the name mustard gas.
Yeah, neither does Petco, so they call it Paradise Betta.
Oh, I like
Absolutely.
that.
So
I think I'll buy mine.
I wouldn't say you've got anything to worry about. I really wouldn't.
No.
Now, if you get, especially because, like, looking on that one, it's been a long day. I can't think of the word. I'm just going to say universal. It was on both sides. It was symmetrical. It wasn't just a big bump on one side there. So I feel like if it's something that flows in line with the fish on both sides. It's typically not like a tumor or any of the weird things that you see under the scales, under the skin.
Now, our bettas, like every fish is prone to different things. Some bettas are prone to cancers or tumors.
Yep.
And then, but maybe, I don't know, like bent spines is a huge one for guppies.
Well, biggest one I see here now, as far as when it comes to breeding, that type of stuff, I'm not going to see. It's not going to hit my store. They're going to be cold well before they do. But as far as susceptibility in my store, what I worry about more than anything with that is ick. Of course, I worry about that because they're raised differently than any other fish. A lot of them very isolated. They have never had any exposure to ick. They have not gotten their vaccine. Guys, get it if you got it. But they haven't built up those immunities. But with that in mind, you put other fish, like in my betta systems, where I have had problems is where I put maybe some autocinchus in there and to control some algae. And then all of a sudden I'm dealing with the ick in the betta system. So I don't mess with mixing fish with them now because of the ick. The other one, fungal. That is the one that you need to watch out for on a betta. If you start seeing that fin and that fin's been doing like this for a while and now it's doing this and you start seeing that split, look right there on that split. If you see a little tuft of white, even if that means you got to get your camera and take a picture and zoom in. If you see that little ball of white right where that line's going, that's the fungus, and it's eating its way down all the way to the start of the tail.
Stinking.
It will grow back, but the quicker you stop it, the better your betta's going to look.
Absolutely. Well, it has been an hour and 12 minutes so far. I know we've all had a long day, and I know we're having an awesome conversation. Final thing I will say, that they were having a little discussion in the chat. They said we're out of order in terms of the beard growth. They followed that up asking what color you were going to do if Ed's red and I'm blue.
Thank you for saying red.
Somebody brought up the point that it's already white, so we've got it in order of red, white, and blue. So
actually, it would actually be blonde because I tried doing the Santa thing a couple of years ago, and it just doesn't look right. I still had to get the spray to paint it white.
There you go.
But it is a true blonde color. But I don't know that I would do it.
When you do your Santa, do you do it with a Yankee accent?
Lord no. This is the South. Why you want to scare kids?
I was just hoping to hear a Yankee accent from you.
I don't know. I could do one.
Oh well, you're better.
Minnesota. That's about the only Yankee I know.
All right, that'll work for sure.
In fact, he is from Minnesota.
Don't you know?
I do want to say one thing to everybody that showed up to the swap tonight. If you're watching, wow, what a showing! So many people showed up. Great participation, vendors and buyers alike.
I won stuff.
Yeah. I mean, last time it was you. This time it's you.
And I could have won everything.
I won too. I mean, I tried for it and I won. So, it just goes to show that the prizes are winnable. It goes
funny.
to you two guys.
T and Aqua, I saw Bobby in here earlier. He won stuff. He won the cards to Aquatic.
See my point?
Oh, that's awesome.
It was a whole lot of back and forth winning from the other stores. It was funny. And of course, it didn't help that I pulled one of Ed's winning tickets. I was like, okay, I'm done pulling tickets now.
Well, I stopped winning.
Yeah.
But they pulled at least 2 more of my tickets. And I was like, no, let somebody else get a chance. But after that, I stopped listening. Because I was like, I wonder how they're going to go through all those tickets. I wonder if I would have won like everything. Crazy. So lucky.
Yeah.
Today.
Just a wonderful event. Again, guys, thank you. And y'all too.
Thank you.
A lot of it wouldn't have been like it was without you guys. helping to promote it on your show and talk about it, even when I'm not there. Just talking about your plans because you're going, others want to go just to see you guys.
Which is still crazy for me. And I had somebody walk up and say, "I'm looking forward to your talk later." I'm like, "Yes, one person's going to be there."
Yep.
No, it was awesome. It really was.
Well, for the first time, I've kind of had a little moment of fame today because of my YouTube videos.
Very nice.
Someone walked up to our booth and he heard my voice. I'm rarely on camera when I do the unboxings. He says, "You're the one that does the unboxings." I said, "Yeah, that's me."
That's awesome.
Absolutely. I do want to say, Ray, I see that you're coming through here in October.
We'll be glad to have you back, Ray. He came through looking for you, and
I might be going by his house in October.
yeah,
That's awesome.
I'm going to take my dad to Miami.
I really feel like now Ed and I go when we travel and look at a lot of fish stores. You know, Bob Kaler and Bobby T and Aqua, and we have our little group with other people. If you're looking for an awesome place to visit, to check out some local fish stores, to do like a fish store hop, East Tennessee is really one of the best places I've found. And we've been all the way to Florida. We've been all over the place. East Tennessee is just an amazing place to plan a trip, grab some fishy friends, head on down this way. You can't go wrong. So.
Yeah, and I do have to warn you guys, when you do come here, you might be disappointed. Ed talks me up pretty good. It's more than just the store. It's the people here is what makes us what we are. We're not big. It is a small store. So some people might be disappointed when they hear that, "Oh, I hear so many good things." But we do have real good things here. Great fish, great people. But we're not that big. But we'll always treat you with class.
Matt, I did see your message about not stopping. However, your day probably started around 3:34 this morning.
Actually 3:00 Wednesday afternoon.
There you go.
I hadn't stopped yet.
I typically sleep from like 2 or 3 in the afternoon till 8 or 9 in the afternoon. So it's actually time for me to be waking up, and I haven't gone to bed yet. We've still got an hour and a half for me to get back to my house.
And then I have an hour and a half.
Plus, we've got this guy on payroll over here. Bless his heart. We're not going to keep him all night. They said he could just follow through with the camera.
He's living this up. He's getting manager pay right now.
Absolutely.
And
Because I wasn't here, so when I'm not here and he's manager, he gets paid for it.
Andrew, have you shown off the store mascot at all?
I think I showed him a little bit.
Oh, okay. Well, then
you
you don't
in
have.
there.
Yeah,
Check out a little bit.
that's clamps that you're seeing there.
It is a big crawfish.
Well, I'll be honest, I didn't know that was the store mascot, but for the thumbnail, that's what I put. I went over there and I snapped a picture of
Nice.
it for tonight's thumbnail, so that's great.
Yeah, clamps. She's my little buddy.
And you guys can't see the corals because we've moved stuff in front of them.
And you can't see corals with that blue light anyways, but Andrew knows what to do there to put a filter in front of it. I think there's one up there.
Oh, what? Didn't mean to make
Let's see.
I'm sorry, Andrew. I'm making you do work. This is a really neat community coral tank.
Yeah, he's putting a little color filter so that all that blue will go away here in a second. There it is.
Now, do these things close up after a certain time every day, or?
Yep. In fact, about this time of day. So, and I'm running a little hard on light, which makes me a little nervous. So, Alexa, cut off reef. Sorry, guys. I got to cut that off. That light should have gone off an hour and a half ago, and you never want to run your corals like that.
Absolutely. Do this right here. All right. I'm going to kill it because we're just tired enough. We could just keep talking. Just keep on going. Again, a huge thank you to you, the Chattanooga Area Aquatic Society. Thank you to you all for having us out.
For sure.
Of course, I got the Aquatic Society, and now I'm going to mess up Ethan's store name. Fish
Fish
Mania.
Mania.
Thank you, Ethan. Everybody in here, moderators, y'all do a wonderful job. Thank you for everything you do each and every week, multiple times a week.
And Andrew.
And Andrew, a huge thank you to Andrew. I'm sure one of the mods will drop his link in there as well. I appreciate y'all doing that. But to all of you, the moderators, the members, the lurkers, the listeners, observers, contributors, questioners, and commenters, of course, the replay crew, I love you guys. Next time we see you, we'll be up at Aquashella. Maybe not at the event, but we'll be up that direction. But until next time, y'all already know it. Keep your fish healthy. Keep yourselves healthy.
Alexa, turn off lights.
Don't be afraid to catch yourself a little fish room fever. Take